dare I say, Ray Tautic.
Oh, my God.
Ray T? I have not seen or heard that name in a long time.
So Ray Tautic, I go back with him. Originally from Connecticut. Knew him for a long time, primarily through the World of Warcraft trading card game, which was defunct about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know lives in Virginia now. He is extremely skilled, not a name that the viewers at home are necessarily familiar with, but what we describe in the Northeast as a tough out.
With good reason.
Yes.
John Davis on burn against Dilks playing Amulet Titan. Todd Scott is on Dimir Inverter against Edgar Magalhaes, who is also on Dimir Inverter. And then Ray T on Mono Red Aggro against Teamer Reclamation. Swiss Spear.
Bang.
Beatdowns. Ever heard of it?
Been a lot of this so far.
There's a lot of mountains here this weekend, it looks like.
A lot of mountains.
Yeah. Once upon a time, here from Dilks. Dilks and his folks, his crew, have said that this deck, these Amulet Titan decks, now are better than the Urza decks were in the previous Modern format before the bans. Sounds hyperbolic.
Well, this is a very good test of that because he's in a matchup here. I think it's generally very good for Amulet Titan, especially if you have the Radiant Fountain as Dilks has here. But it is about speed, and we'll see if the new additions speed the deck up appreciably.
Dilks is up to 21. There's a Sunbaked Canyon here for John Davis. So he's got both colors of mana. He'll take one from the canyon. It could be time for Eidolon here, folks. It's his. Eidolon the Great Revel, beatdowns for 1. Dilks is going to fall down to 20, and he is what I would say is in a little bit of trouble.
I mean, this is the opening you want from the burn side in this matchup. 1 into
agree.
2, and then a bunch of spells.
Dilks with a Simic Growth Chamber. He's going to pick up the Radiant Fountain. He may have to discard this turn. And he'll discard Summoner's Pact, which leads me to believe that he may have Dryad or Azusa or something already rolled up. So we're going to head back over to John Davis now, who will draw a card.
Yeah, not a good sign here for Davis discarding a Summoner's Pact because that leads to a lot of really explosive turns the following turn.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's willing to discard it, it means he's already rolled up.
This is a Lava Spike. There will be a Eidolon trigger and a Prowess trigger here from Monastery Swift Spear. 3 damage will be headed Dilks' way. We'll take 1 from the Sunbaked Canyon. And now here are the critics. So 3 more damage head Dilks' way. Eidolon trigger as well. So Davis is going to fall down to, it's like 12 now after all said and done. Now here comes the beatdowns for 5. Dilks is going to fall down to 9. So as you said, Patrick, this is the start that you would want if you're a burn player, especially on the play.
Yeah, I mean, no land drop here, too. So very good chance that Davis's hand could cobble together lethal next turn. The problem here is the Radiant Fountain and the belief here, based on circumstantial evidence, that Dilks has a very explosive turn coming. Now, he is a little capped on the number of spells he can play here through the Eidolon, but it's possible he only needs to play 1 3-mana spell and then can start really going from there.
Well, there is the Dryad. There will be an Eidolon trigger. Now here is a Gruul Turf. Going to, of course, pick up the Radiant Fountain. Okay. We're going to head back over to John Davis as Dilks settles at 9 life. Now remember, one of the things about the Dryad, 2-4, not a 2-3. Pretty big.
Great blocker.
Yeah. Easy to cast. Only a single green in the mana cost. 2-4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Here comes the Eidolon and the Swift Spear. Which one you blocking there, partner?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Swift Spear block here. Dilks' position is so commanding with the Radiant Fountain, and then he can play over the top of the Eidolon, that what I want to do here is hedge against Davis's best hands, and I think that's the block you'd want.
Looks like Lightning Helix is going to go upstairs as opposed to at the Dryad. Would you try to kill the Dryad here?
Probably not.
No?
I mean, that ship has already sailed here a little bit, and I mean, Dilks next turn, if you kill the Dryad, he gets to go play Radiant Fountain. Now I'm at 5 mana. It's just so unlikely to win the game. This gives you the best shot of winning if Dilks' hand happens to be weak.
Well, there's the Radiant Fountain. Here is a forest, and now, unsurprisingly, here is Primeval Titan. So, triggers aplenty. Here we go. This might be, Valakut plus X. Valakuts, plural. Oh, that's just
lethal. Yep.
That's just lethal.
Okay.
Neat. Valakuts because of the Dryad.
Right.
So that's 4 shots.
And then the
12
attack.
And then attack for 2. That was
pretty fast.
Yeah. You didn't expect that to happen, really. Even Lightning Helix gaining life there didn't matter.
And Davis
Wow.
was on the play there with about as good of a hand as you can ask for, too.
Yeah, Dilks no 1-drop.
Yep.
Right? I mean, so
Radiant Fountain was
incredible.
incredible.
That shows you just how good the Radiant Fountain is, right?
Yes, the Radiant Fountain is extremely good, but
And what that also goes to show you is that every slot in a deck like Amulet Titan matters.
yeah, you do just draw the one-of sometimes.
Yeah.
And in this matchup, when you have the Radiant Fountain in your hand, if you have a functional 7-card hand, it's really hard to lose. I don't know if I've ever beaten just the natural Radiant Fountain and then they have their bounce lands and
just do their thing.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
It's almost never happened.
And they have some interesting one-ofs, at least Dilks does in his build. I know many others in this weekend are playing similar deck that, you're going to find a hand where Battle Mitts, 2 copies of Valakut, which you just saw, Talaria West, Vesuva, so on and so forth. So we'll get to those cards if they do come up, but we're going to start with John Davis, who's got 4 copies of Smash Smithereens, maybe bringing those in to kill Amulets, 4 Skullcrack, 3 Core Firewalker, 2 Path to Exile, and 2 Searing Blood. Burn Man, what do you like?
So the 4 copies of Skullcracker are a pretty easy upgrade over Lightning Helix, so that's an easy swap to make. The Smash the Smithereens and the Path to Exiles they're like okay. The problem is that Primeval Titan does a lot of its work entering the battlefield, and the Dryad as well does a lot of work entering the battlefield, and then also ramping them is pretty weak too. So I don't know if I would, and the Smash Smithereens is really light on targets. I think for burn sideboard cards now, a sideboard slot that Davis does not have, but I would consider, is Wear Tear. I think you really need to start considering Wear Tear, and specifically for this matchup, because they have artifacts, and now with the Dryad, they have enchantments as well. So they have a wide range of things that you can hit, and they're all very, very high leverage cards.
Other side things here for Dilks, he's not messing around, 4 copies of Aether Gust, 2 Dismembers, 2 Beast Within, 2 Engineer Explosives, 2 Force of Vigor, an additional copy of Field of the Dead. I got a little ahead of myself there, along with another copy of Radiant Fountain and a Reclamation Sage. It's getting tough here for John.
So I
Davis.
definitely want the Radiant Fountain, the 4 copies of Aether Gust. The Reclamation Sage is a good hedge against Blood Moon. Most burned lists don't have it, but it's something to be concerned about against any red strategy. And also there's Eidolon of the Great Revel, sometimes in Snaring Bridge as targets as well, so I think that one's pretty easy to bring in. I like the explosives in this matchup too, so just a lot of great cards.
There's a lot of cards.
A lot of great cards.
Yeah, I mean this is a who's who. I mean, it sounds like Dilks was expecting, based off of not even having the conversation with him, but what his sideboard is presenting, he's ready for red decks.
Well, Aether Gust just is so powerful and flexible. It's not just about this matchup, and in fact, it's probably weaker here than against most red or green decks. But it's just a really high upside card that's going to come in a ton.
Those are your options there for both players. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. Now, last round we did talk about invitational qualifiers, but there's more organized play with Star City Games, including our open trials where you can find exciting prizes like SCG Tour free entry cards for winning. You get to play for free in an open. SCG Tour playmats like this one on the screen, along with elusive foil tokens, official Magic the Gathering playmats, and a whole bunch more. Go to starcitygames.com/open trial, a program that we've brought back and we have reformatted quite a bit, and it is already popular at local stores. We can bring it to yours as well. Again, go to starcitygames.com/open trial. Dilks already up a game. We say that a lot about Matthew Dilks, a 29-year-old from Burlington, Ontario, a member of Team Nova. Last year, 15 opens, played 8 top 8s. That's an unreasonable win percentage.
Yeah, over 50%.
Yes.
Unbelievable season.
Top 8's all time, it's 11 with 1 open win. He got very close to winning one in Columbus earlier this year, lost in the finals alongside the two people that are with him here this weekend once again, Edgar Magalhaes and Will Pulliam. And then last Open, that was in Knoxville, right after Columbus, he lost playing for Top 8 to his teammate, Will Pulliam. So there's Matthew Dilks. Confident as ever. Does not lack that. As he's got a little Starbucks with him here this morning as well. Looks like Will Pulliam did win game number 1 of his match against Raymond Tautic. Team of Reclamation against a mono-red aggro there. Team of Rec, a deck that is starting to pick up in popularity, but we have said that so many times about Team of Reclamation. It looks so good on paper, but it doesn't always play out that way. With this expansion explosions and growth spirals and everything like that, not as good of a deck as I think people would have expected based on how powerful Wilderness Reclamation is.
I think that a lot of it was a Teferi Time Raveler splash damage.
Still legal?
Still legal. But maybe not as ubiquitous as it once was. But that to me was always the problem. I mean, the deck had good and bad matchups, but Teferi was just so popular, so low opportunity cost, and a very hard card for that deck to beat.
Both these players are going to take a look at their opening hand as Todd A. Scott and Edgar Magalhaes are battling it out in the Demir Inverter Mirror. I do wonder how that matchup goes, because you think about the Splinter Twin Mirror days, that was tough to navigate. I have to imagine this is probably also tough to navigate.
Definitely. So from the burn side of things, this is a matchup where I have started to mulligan very aggressively, especially on the draw. This is the quintessential matchup where if you die, it's likely that you still have stuff in your hand you didn't have time to do.
Yep.
And the value of turn 1 Goblin Guide versus not having it is just huge. So I think on the draw, there's definitely no hand that I would keep that did not have a 1-mana creature. And Goblin Guide's really the prize here. All the points matter.
So better than Swift Spear.
Definitely.
That's what it sounds like you're saying to me. Even though you're playing against a deck that has a lot of lands, so the likelihood of you giving them lands is even higher, doesn't matter to you?
It's not like, how many cards Dilks have in his hand at the end of that game? Where he won? 6 or 7?
Yeah, plenty.
It's not about that sort of thing. It's just, can you win the race fast enough?
Well, we're going to take a little look here. Old Dilks. And a new hand. Again, he is never lacking in confidence, but even more confident now with the addition of Dryad and how the modern format has shaped up with the banning of Oko and Mox Opal. Feels as though his deck is the strongest, and he felt that anyway.
Yes. He's never lacked for confidence with this particular strategy, and it has gotten some really meaningful updates recently.
And the results are there.
Yeah.
So I'd be confident, too, if I were Matt Dilks. I'm out to start off of a Bloodstained Mire. And now here is Goblin Guide. Hey, you said this was incredibly important. It's what I would say is the best start possible. Then.
Oh, yeah. This is your best shot at it right here.
It'll be 18 and 19 as we head back over to Dilks. There's a Once Upon a Time.
People talk about the London Mulligan a lot in terms of like assembling 2-card combos that win the game. It's not always just about that. There are some cards in some matchups that are so high leverage that it's worth being down multiple cards to have them in opening hand. And for this matchup, Tron is another example. Goblin Guide is that kind of card.
Well, he's got the Radiant Fountain and an Amulet as a start. Boy, that's going to be...
Yep.
That's going to be a lot. Because you got to remember, too, last game he didn't even have Amulet.
No.
And we
still won on turn 4, I think.
Oh, that was turn 4.
Yeah.
We know what this deck looks like when it does have Amulet. So we're going to head back over to John Davis now. That's a Sunbay Canyon. Excuse me.
Inspiring
Vantage. Different Boros dual land. This Smash Smithereen. So brought it in.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't mind it on the play. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, again, you're going to lose with a bunch of cards in your hand. If you mulligan, it's not that big of a deal.
Gemstone Mine, the reveal from the Goblin Guy. So that goes to Dilks' hand as he starts his second turn at 15. Drew another copy of Radiant Fountain. But you have to imagine he was expecting that Amulet to live, and he was going to be able to go pretty crazy on the second turn of the game. Instead, it looks like it's going to be another Radiant Fountain up to 17. Dilks does have a play, though. It's another Amulet. So there's potential to go nuts here on turn 3. So we head back over to John Davis.
Yeah, interesting that Dilks here is willing to expose the amulet to maybe another removal spell. Suggests to me that if this amulet survives next turn, he's going to really have a turn. Because he needs all. He's suggesting that he needs all of his mana next turn.
Yep. That's a Swift Spear. Beatdowns. Trigger the Goblin Guide. Top card is a Teleria West. This is a Boros Charm. Get a little prowess trigger here. But what that means is that Amulet's going to remain on the battlefield, and if you're Dilks, you got to be thrilled about that. But more importantly for John Davis, this could be bad news.
Davis brought essentially his best draw to the table this game, and does not. I'm not optimistic about his chances.
Dilks is going to start his turn by floating a colorless mana off of the Radiant Fountain. Simic Growth Chamber looks like it's going to be the land. Amulet's going to untap that. Going to bounce the Radiant Fountain back to hand. Here is Azusa. Lost but Seeking. Another land drop's going to allow for a Radiant Fountain. And now a Forest. Now there is a Dryad, which means we had another land drop coming. Gemstone Mine. That's a lot. That's a lot for a third turn.
And remember, we know Teleria West is among Dilks' leftovers.
Swift Spear. Here come the beatdowns. There will be a Goblin Guide trigger to start this show. That was one of those green knuckleheads, it looks like. It was a Azusa Lost but Seeking, which makes it even easier to block with Azusa this turn.
Yeah, I think this was going to be the block regardless, but now if you know you have an Azusa on top, then it's very easy.
Lightning Helix is going to go upstairs, which means that Swift Spear is going to take care of the Azusa. Dry is going to take care of the Goblin Guide, and some damage is going to get through. John Davis is also going to gain a little bit of life, but the bad news here, if you're rooting for burn here, folks, is that I think Matt Dilks is going to have a turn in just a moment, and it's probably going to be a doozy. But we'll have to see. He's at 6. He'll draw. Does he have prime time? Well, of course he has prime time. It's Matt Dilks. Why wouldn't he have prime time?
So this is a bunch of shocks.
Well, at least one Valakut. I got no idea what that land is. Oh, Hanwar Battlements. Give Primeval Titan haste.
That'll do it.
Oh, you're dead. Oh, you're dead.
And it's not by a small amount.
Vesuva
Another Valakut.
and Valakut. Yeah, it is not by a small amount.
18, 24, 26.
Good Lord. Matt Dilks is going to win this game
Okay.
and match over John Davis. 2-0 as Amulet Titan just cut up that burn deck. Whew, boy. That was burn on the play both games with good draws.
Yeah.
One could say their best draws. Game 1, Swift Spear into Eidolon. Game 2, Goblin Guide into Smash Smithereens or Amulet.
Yeah.
And we're talking not close, folks, as we're going to jump in and see Mono Red Aggro going after Will Pulliam, playing Team of Reclamation. 20-4 are the life totals, and it looks like Ray T is pretty far ahead here with a bunch of bozos on the battlefield. However, that is a copy of Storm's Wrath to clean things up here for Will Pulliam. Will's at 4. Will is about to fall a little bit lower thanks to Phoenix of Ash. Ray will pass the turn back. Wilderness Reclamation. An oldie but a goodie. Gonna float a little bit of mana, untap some lands. As there you see Phoenix of Ash, the 3-mana 2/2 flying haste from Theros Beyond Death. That is a Scorching Dragonfire, which means that card's getting exiled, and Pulliam has mana left over. So no escaping to be done there from the Phoenix. It's gone for good. Scorching Dragonfire might be a key card in Theros Beyond Death Standard, given that it does do some exile and can also target Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Something I think people may forget. There's Runaway Steamkin here for Ray. The follow-up, Scorch Spitter, trigger, put a counter on the Steamkin.
Mm-hmm.
Only got to deal 2 more. Just 2?
Just 2.
Just 2, that's it, just 2 more.
It might be a hard 2, though. Been here before.
Yeah. Just 2 more, that's all. We'll see what's coming here in just a moment. Looks like Ray's going to make a move here. Claim the Firstborn.
Give it haste.
Can you target your own creature? I am led to believe that you can. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste. Looking to give his Steamkin some hasty beatdowns, but Pulliam does have another copy of Scorching Dragonfire to blow that play up. Scorch Spitter is all that is left over as we head back over to Will the Thrill. An open champion in his own right is Will Pulliam. Second place alongside Magalhaes and Dilks at SCG Columbus earlier this year. He's going to play a Breeding Pool. He's going to enter the battlefield tapped. He's going to float some mana. Wilderness Reclamation is going to untap a bunch of lands. This is an expansion, but more importantly, an explosion.
Leaving up 2, representing some sort of counterspell, or at least drawing to 1.
Mm-hmm. Something like an Ether Gust, perhaps. Pulliam's hand is full. Ray T is out of cards. He will draw. He needs a burn spell to win this game. He will simply pass the turn back. We're going to go back over to Pulliam now, who's starting to take a commanding lead here in this second game. And remember, he's already won the first. Oh, right. Oh, right. There's a neat little card with Escape in his graveyard. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. A way to gain life, something these decks have always been missing.
Pulls him up to 5, and I think we'll be going to game 3 here in a moment.
I don't think there's going to be a third game given he's won the first.
Oh, I thought, sorry.
No.
Excuse me. Then, yeah, then we're about wrapped up here.
And this thing is absolutely huge. In a 6/6, enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, you draw a card, you can play another land. I mean, this one is pushed to be a good card. Wilderness Reclamation has untapped some lands already, so you're getting a Castle Vantress activation. And Pulliam is passing with all these cards available. Runaway Steamkin is a very powerful Magic card, to be sure, but it is outclassed right now. There's another removal spell. See you later. We're going to head back over to Pulliam here in just a moment as he moves those cards further onto the camera. Steam vents the draw. Here's an attack for 6. And if you're wondering what removal spell that was played, it was a copy of Chandra's Pyro Helix. Pulliam now going to play a Steam Vents. Has another copy of, well, this game's over now. He's got another copy of Explosion
Just
in hand.
Lethal.
Yep, well, he's going to play multiples of those, and Ray T, I think, knows he's beat. Ember Cleave in hand. That was the draw step. And you see Pulliam's going to show off his hand of all the goodies he's got because he's going to win the game in the match for his team. The team of Matt Dilks, Edgar Magalhaes, and Will Pulliam win this one over John Davis, Todd Scott, and Raymond Ray T. Tautic in a clean sweep, 2-0. Didn't lose a game in the match that they played. Remember, these guys got second place at SCG Columbus. 2 of them played in the Star City Games Players Championship.